Good morning, Raymond. Good morning, Enimwa.
Good morning.
Good morning, Enimwa.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
So what do you guys want for Christmas?
Oh, it depends on the person who is answering the question.
Oh, you are the one answering the
No,
question.
who is actually at the given end.
Yeah, so what do you want from me?
For your level, I just need one car.
One car?
Yeah.
Okay. Take me down a few notches lower.
You see the problem?
And what does Enimwa want for Christmas?
I haven't decided.
You haven't decided?
No.
Oh, me just give me Kontomri and Aliwa. I think I should be fine.
Wow.
Right now, what I want to hear on the front page.
Okay, now the New Crusader guide is reporting this morning Ghana receives $57 million Japanese grant for N8 road rehabilitation and introduce enhanced schemes to fund brilliant but needy students. This is Professor Kwesi Yanka, of the Ministry of Education in charge of tertiary education, speaking there. And there's a fifth national housing policy ongoing. The participants are demanding that state housing company must lead all government housing projects.
On the front page of the Daily Guide, $12 million drone deal approved. Mahama storms Parliament. Ayawase West by-election, mad rush for a Jaku seat. And that story about the Japanese grant also on the front page of the Daily Guide.
Now, the race for the Ayawase West Wogo seat, Ajaku's second wife speaks out. You know that yesterday there was this interesting story about Game of Thrones, wife versus, contesting.
Wife versus other wife contesting for the husband's seat.
No, the wife status of others are being contested now, so that's the problem.
But Madam Al-Hassan has said that she doesn't want the seat.
That's the speaking in this case. No, she has cleared the matter. No, not yet. She added, not yet.
Okay, not
so
yet.
I don't want to slap you, not yet. That means that
we'll get to the details of that story.
I mean, slap her. Anyway.
Anymore.
On the front page of the Chronicle, oil to flow from Volta. GNPC says 20 seismic data acquired on Voltanian Basin. In addition to completion of geochemical data gathering and analysis, Japan doles out $57 million. That story again for Yamransa Kumasi Road. 70,000 pupils denied classrooms by MMDAs. That's according to research, and that's on the front page of the Chronicle.
Now, the Gold Street Business is reporting this morning banks in late rush to merge. Even marriages of convenience may not meet deadline for recapitalization. Then the MMDAs abandoned projects cost this country $25 million every single year.
On the front page of the Herald, $3 million cocoa board fertilizer skeletons out as Attorney General's key witness comes under intense credibility test. A Mary welcomes renegotiated power arrangement. Government and Bank of Ghana shielding Indrum's Bank. Angry customer storm Coconut Grove Hotel. And ex-minister laments over the $12 million drone deal.
Now, the Ghanaian Times is reporting this morning that public officials have been cautioned. Don't accept gifts at Xmas because it's an offense. And that's on the front page with other stories like 10 business operators rounded up for failure to insure buildings. Insurance, so not permit to build. Insure their buildings. And there's one about 3 robbers being jailed 176 years. It's been a long time since I heard this huge sentence for 3 people.
On the back page of the Daily Graphic, Nana Area Dako Ampim, the second constructs ward for hospital. FAO donates animal disease detection device to the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. On the front page, Parliament approves drone contracts. We want to emulate Japan's success story. That's according to the president. And Yendi ready for Yana's funeral.
Now, the Finder is reporting this morning that deploy BNI, CID, and sting operation to arrest corrupt officials. CSOs in a petition to the president are making that demand. And the National Identification Authority has already registered 25,728 people in La Nquantanan, Medina for 4 clear days. And there's something that you should know about some number of women who are using modern contraceptives. So there's an improvement small, not the married ones, predominantly the unmarried ones.
Okay.
520,000 women in the People's Republic of Ghana are using contraceptives. And that's on the front page of the Finder. There's one you should know about. The Ghana Medical Association and their complaints about the use of drones too. They say suspend. Let's discuss before you proceed.
Okay.
On the front page of the Daily Statesman, state firms see resurrection. 100 dead state-owned enterprises are back to life. There's also the story about the Japanese grants, the medical drones, and a piece on Beyond Shame, speaking up about child abuse. And that's it. For the Daily Statesman.
Great. Let's go into the details of the stories, and we'll begin with the Kumasi City Mall.
Yes, that particular story is in the Finder, and the Finder is reporting this morning that the City Mall has actually been open after just a day or two when a part of it caved in. So the ceiling was supposed to have been in the right position, expected to have been in the right position, and this mall is not very old, so there wasn't an expectation for the people who use the place that this would happen. But unfortunately, parts of it caved in. It sends shockwaves down the spine of those who felt they could have been there at the time, and others who felt that this cannot happen to one of these institutions like this, because they believe that this is one of the biggest institutions or buildings in Kumasi. This brings into sharp focus similar facilities that have had problems like that, and the questions being asked about the standards and how we are maintaining and obeying them. Assuming, and touch wood, there were many people there and this disaster was huge and it cost us lives. We did not know how we'd have been able to deal with it. Mindful of the fact that in the popular Malcolm case, we had to ask for help from other countries to still look out for people who were down there in the rubble. So that is how we need to safeguard these buildings. The question consistently is, who is in charge of maintenance in this unit? Whose responsibility to make sure that this building is always consistently deemed to be in the right position? How was the structural integrity of the building tested prior to allowing people to access it?
So after the Vice President launched the new building code and it's displayed boldly on the Ghana Standards Authority website, who has gone round to inspect buildings to ensure that all the buildings, at least commercial, public buildings, are keeping to that standard? Yeah, and I think that the custodians of the standards themselves, the Standards Authority, must speak to this. And we are working to get Prof. Alex Todu. Okay. When we do get him, we'll get those questions to him, because you can imagine what public spaces will look like this Christmas season. Anyway, let's move on though and talk about these child slaves who've been rescued. Some good news.
So 42 Volta Lake child slaves have been rescued over the weekend. So their ages are between 5 and 16, and there was a lot of investigation that has been going on by a non-profit organization called Challenging Heights. So there were 4 girls and 38 boys, and what happened is that they were sold from communities in the Central and Greater Accra regions, taken to the Volta Lake, and they were being exploited. So they were being made to fish as opposed to going to school and as opposed to being with their families and being in a wholesome environment. So over the years, Challenging Heights has worked in cooperation with the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, and in all have rescued over 1,600 children from Lake Volta. In 2017, they did 91, so that's 74 boys, 17 girls, and over 100 the year before. And so since 2003, like I said, they have rescued about 1,600. They're calling on the government now, though, to aid and support so that they can actually do more, because there are a lot more children on the Volta Lake who have been sold as slaves.
And this is one organization, Challenging Heights, that has been doing
this. Yes, this is one organization.
Kudos to them. I wonder if we had the full force of the police in that area, I'm wondering how many we could have gotten.
But it is fair to say that this weekend's rescue mission, they were supported by the police, the Navy, and the Department of Social Welfare.
Yeah, so that must be said.
Yes.
That must be said. Thanks. Raymond, let's move on. Suspend drone projects for broader consultation. Who's saying this?
That's the Ghana Medical Association, and their call comes on the heels of that of the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists. The claim is pretty simple. That 1, they don't think there has been enough consultation. 2, there are some rough edges that ought to be strengthened if you ought to do the implementation right. One of the big things they're asking is that, let's be clear, the centers we are targeting, the rural cut-off areas, they struggle with basic things. So they did not have the big facilities. For example, in the rural areas you're talking about, they have CHIPS compounds, they have health centers. These CHIPS compounds and health centers, according to protocols of the Ministry of Health and the Ghana Health Service, the people there cannot handle blood transfusion, for example. And you see, the ministry has touted as one of the big reasons why they are doing this, blood transfusion. So we need the blood to get to the people, but the people who are working on the ground, the nurses, the other staff officers below that grade, they cannot do that job. So if they cannot do that job, the Medical Association is asking, Why are we sending the blood to people who cannot give it to the patients? So we need to reform and refine the scope of work that's required of this drone delivery service so that we can be sure in our minds what the role of the doctor will be, who takes up, whose responsibility is to test it, because even the health centers, they don't have place of determining whether the blood is wholesome or not in this particular case, or the blood is contaminated or not, mindful of the recent Konfanochi Teaching Hospital matter. Yes, so that is the main complaint of the Ghana Medical Association. So put it on hold. We don't say you should cancel it. They say they are not against the principle of using drones to deliver essential drugs.
Okay.
They say it's evolving, it's technology oriented, but there are some realities on the ground that doesn't make it feasible and reasonable now. And again, when Justice Dr. Titles made the point, he was of the considered opinion that they have engaged government several times on the most important needs of the hospitals across the country. At no point in time has it been apparent to them that having to fly medicines to the place. Indeed, to them, the availability of the drug is really a problem. So the places that you're talking about and where to even put patients is also a problem. So we need to beef up infrastructure, just that it should not be seen as the panacea to the healthcare service delivery in the country. And that's basically what they are saying.
The concern really is about how key doctors are in the healthcare delivery system in Ghana and how they were not consulted before something as essential as this was done. So the call for me is very much
somebody asked whether the health service were expecting these assemblies and their friends to be doing the implementation of same and not the doctors and the people who are working in the hospitals.
At least let's have that consultation done. We will be interrogating this matter a bit further on in the show as Parliament has approved this deal after 3 unsuccessful attempts. Now, anymore, let's move on now.
Okay, so we know
the Game
that,
of Thrones, right?
Yes, we know that on November 21st, 2018, we lost our MP for Ayawaso West Wogon constituency, Mr. Emmanuel Tremonting Ejako, and his seat has become vacant. So what's happening is that different groups have emerged, so have posters. Posters have also come out for the replacement. So the major issue here is that there are two groups apparently for the two supposed wives. We do know that Mrs. Josephine Nana Ejako she's the wife that we know. She had 2 children with him, and then there's Lydia Al Hassan, who had 5 children with him. So one group is pushing for Lydia, and one group is pushing for Nana. Now the group pushing for Nana is called the Concerned Delegates of Ayawaso West Wogon, and yesterday they petitioned the leadership of the NPP to sort of put their backing behind her so that she would become or she would fill that seat. However, both parties have spoken. So Lydia's party have spoken, which apparently she has said that the politicking should be toned down until after the burial of the late MP. His wife as well, Nana, has also said that she has not expressed any interest in succeeding her husband, and her focus right now is to have a befitting funeral for her husband. Both of them have also said that they are grieving and they would like some space to be able to grieve and not deal with all of these political issues. The Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, Nana Obui Bryan, has been speaking, and he is also saying that tradition should be respected. He's saying that Mr. Ejako has not been buried yet. The funeral rites have not been performed. And so all of this politicking is really, really out of place. The NDC have been speaking as well, Ras Mubarak, and he has asked that the NDC do not give a candidate for that area, but that they just allow the NPP to continue to have that seat. But there are a couple of names that have come up, actually more than a couple of names, about 11 names that have come up. Apparently some footballers, so including the 2 wives, also John Dumelo's name has come up, some former bankers, Atu Williams, a former president of the Young Executive, and then also apparently a businessman from Despite's group as well as the person that the NPP seem to want to put forward, but they're not sure if he would accept because he's very busy. So there's a lot of things going around.
Yes,
issue.
A lot of things going on, and if any of these are to become public officials, Raymond, we are being told that they shouldn't accept gifts at Christmas.
Yes, that's according to the anti-corruption officer at SHRAD, Ayamdo. And for Charles Ayamdo, you cannot accept it in the name of getting Christmas gift to people when it is to influence them and get them to do your bidding. In fact, he is of the opinion that to avoid the likelihood of being in a corrupt or conflict of interest position, just issue the blanket rule that Mills introduced then. You do recall that former President Mills was very clear in his mind that please don't bring it, get gifts to me. Indeed, at some time, he directed all of these hampers that have been brought to his end to be given to, what's the name of the institutions? The various orphanages across the country.
Yeah.
He also insisted that the various state institutions are not supposed to give out the hampers themselves to other groups for whichever reason. So you have JNPC, you have all of the other affiliates of the state seeking and sending these gifts around. But the Straj anti-corruption officer is insisting if you send them, you are likely to corrupt people with it. And if you take them, you are likely to be corrupted with it. Let the Christmas festivities remain within your private space and do not influence the people with that. That Daniel, is related to the call by the anti-corruption institutions across the country.
Yeah.
They are saying that since for the last few years or so, we've not had corruption being fought the way we ought to see it happen. In fact, they are quoting Transparency International's Corruption Perception Index and other data to support their claim. They want immediately a sting operation by the security institutions from BNI to National Security and also the other groups. What they want them to do is start arresting people who are deemed corrupt so that we can interrogate them, so that we can investigate them to show that government is serious about the fight of corruption. In fact, they've heard of the Office of Special Prosecutor, they've heard of the other things that are happening, but they're not convinced that we're on the right track. And it's virtually all the people in the space of anti-corruption that put together this petition to the President of the Republic of Ghana.
It's good. We want to hear what the response of the presidents will be to this petition. But you know what? I think orphanages would really appreciate these gifts that the public officials will receive. Because anymore, we are hearing that orphanages are operating below standard and they may be closed down as a result.
Yes. So out of the 129 orphanages that are being run at the moment, the acting director of the Department of Social Welfare, Mr. Daniel Biawu, has said that the aim is to reduce this number to 50 by the year 2022. Now, this decision has been reached because of a recent assessment that was made by the department and revealed that, honestly, the standards that a lot of these orphanages were operating at is way, way, way below. The other problem is that some of these orphanages, a lot of these orphanages actually are not registered, they're not licensed, and people have turned their homes into orphanages, and so really they cannot sort of monitor the care that's being given to these children. 148 homes were identified and 55 so far have been shut down.
Okay.
But there's 129 more to go, and that number should come down to 50. So Mr. Biawu is asking that if you do want to open an orphanage, if you do want to help people, do it the right way. Get licensed, get the right kind of staff, get the right kind of support, and then you're pretty much good to go.
Like I was saying this morning, good intentions are not enough. The right thing must be done. Anyway, let's finish off with our getting $57 million for the NH Road. Where does the NH Road pass?
It goes through Yamransa. It's the Yamransa Kumasi. Am I saying that right?
Yes, Yamransa is fine.
The Yamransa Kumasi Road, which, funny enough, it was Japan in the first place that constructed that road. But over the years, or we got the funding from them over the years, because of deterioration, we're having to sort of refurbish. And so, yes, they're giving us $57 million in a grant to be able to do that. It's also going to go through the Bekwai in Kwanta side of that road as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's basically Takoradi Kumasi through Bekwai. Yeah, but of course you don't go as far as Takoradi. You start at Yamransa.
Yeah. So that's it. That's that
okay.
story.
Thanks a lot, Enimwa, and we're going to go online now. The online news review is brought to you by Zenith Bank in your best interest. GOIL Good Energy. And the rewards are raining as GOIL's Ifie promotions. Do you buy fuel as GOIL? Hurry and do so, because in the month of November alone, 720 customers have received their ultimate reward from your favorite CIMG Petroleum Company of the Year, GOIL. Adipa Ofia Oye, George Crying of Ofankor has received 1,000 cedis worth of fuel on his Go card for the month of November and a weekend hotel stay for 2. Many others were rewarded with 1,000 cedis worth of fuel for accruing the highest points. So collect your scratch card anytime you buy GOIL fuel, 80 cedis and above. Dial *161 *4645 hash and follow the steps. Your loyalty rewards also await you at the end of the month if you buy more fuel and accrue more points. GOIL Ifie promo runs till January 2019. Terms and conditions apply. GOIL Good Energy. GOIL Yenara Yedia. Now, this festive season, Zenith Bank is offering you the opportunity to become part of its big, wonderful family. Visit any Zenith Bank branch nationwide during the first 2 weeks in December and let our able team assist you choose from an array of products and services that's definitely cater to your unique banking needs. You have till Friday, so you want to hurry up and tell a friend, whether you're an individual, an SME, or a corporate entity at Zenith Bank. There's something for everyone. Zenith Bank, in your best interest. And I begin with the first story of the Joy Business Report. NIC task force swoops commercial buildings without insurance and arrests 6. Like I said earlier, this was myjoyonline.com. Daryl brought us this story during the Joy Business Report. The 6 people arrested were actually workers, and they were not the owners of the buildings who were targeted here. Ghana not prepared for looming earthquake, Geological Service. And Nicholas Opoku spoke on the Super Morning Show yesterday. CSOs petition Akufo-Addo over stagnated fight against corruption. Al Jazeera.com says former Gambian President Yahya Jammeh blocked from entering the US. So we're going to take these important messages, and when we come back, we'll go for the BBC News at 7. But remember, today we are talking about how just doing your job can save a life. So a doctor is on a flight. He does what he's paid to do. He does what he has been trained to do. Seems regular, doesn't it? But it ends up in someone's life being saved. So how important do you take your job? Listen to us as we speak to Dr. Samuel Ofori, and you'll find out. We'll also be talking about the drones that are going to be procured. Well, not the services of which are going to be procured by Ghana, and how this deal has been approved by Parliament. Do you have any questions at all about this drone deal? Send them in on 0244 340 437. That's Joy 997 FM on Twitter, Joy 99.7 FM on Facebook. We'll also have some exclusive details on the 4 British girls who were assaulted in Ghana recently. Did you hear about that? Yeah. Stay tuned to the Super Morning Show. We have exclusive details you will not hear anywhere else. Stay with us. We'll be back after the BBC News.
This was Kwame's life before Interplast